Hi everyone, hope everybody's okay, and this is a VR tour. Mr. David Birdsall, David Retro Games Play Badly, and he's done a video asking about your earliest gaming memories. And at first I thought I can't really do one because I pretty much said, you know, my earliest gaming memories from when me and my dad had, you know, when I got my Spectrum at Christmas, my first ever home computer, and the time we blew it up. And you know, I thought I can't really talk about that again. And God knows how many times I've mentioned it. I can't really talk about the time when I came across Space Harrier because I've talked about it. So I've got 3 gaming memories. Rather than do one, I've got 3 little snippets, and they're all arcade based. And the first one is, I've mentioned it before, we used to go on holiday to Barmston Beach. My granddad had a caravan there. Barmston Beach is like a little caravan resort on the east coast, between Bridlington and Hornsey, in between there. Lovely little caravan site, at least it was back in the day when we used to visit it. And they had a little arcade. Barmston Beach, you'll have heard me mention it, is when I come across Bomb Jack, but that were in the foyer to the club. But they also had a separate arcade, little building arcade. And I came across this. This is Choplifter. And I think I came across this before I did Bomb Jack. I think Bomb Jack may have been a later holiday. Can't quite remember, but I do remember Choplifter. And this is probably the first arcade game that I kind of fell in love with. I'm never any good at it. It's basically, you start off at your base, you've got to pick up you know, these prisoner of wars or whatever, stranded little stickmen type people. You got to land, pick them up, they'll walk into your helicopter, and then you've got to go back to base, drop them off. I think you can carry 10 at a time, and you've got to rescue so many per level. You've got things shooting your planes, you've got tanks rolling up as you're picking people up. So, you know, it keeps you on your toes, and obviously as the levels go on it gets harder. But yeah, I mean, it's a soundtrack for me from Choplifter that really instills a wave of nostalgia. It's you know, I can play it in my head. I don't know if you can hear it at the moment, but yeah, Choplifter. That is probably. I'd like to. I don't know if I can commit to saying the earliest arcade memory, because I do remember. Well, I'll move on to the next, which is another holiday, and it was based in Rhyl. Again, this was another seaside town that we used to visit pretty frequently. North Wales, Rhyl. It's an absolute, well, last time I went it was an absolute dive, but back in the 80s it were a really nice, early 80s especially, a really nice holiday resort. And I do remember we went to one pub, and there was a Space Invaders machine there. And yeah, I mean, I used to pester my mum and dad for 10p's to have one more, just one more gun, man. But the thing that stands out for me on that is, in this particular pub, I do remember a guy coming round with a big snake round his neck, and it was one of those where you know, you pay a pound or whatever. I can't remember how much it was back then. It wouldn't have been much, but yeah, they did, you know, stick it round your neck, and you could have your photo taken with it. He didn't do the photos, you had to have your own little can you remember those cameras with little film that you put in, you have to wind them on. I've actually got one of them old Boots ones, 110. I think the film it took a 110. I don't know what that relevance that is, but that's what they call the films. I think they took 24 photos or something like that. But yeah, it was just that little bit of information just stands out, that this bloke come round with a snake, much to the horror of my mum, because she's frightened stiff of snakes. I mean, obviously you can't get that nowadays. You can't just have somebody walking into a pub with a snake round his neck. But yeah, though, back in those times, nobody cared. And it's funny because, just going off on a tangent here before I go on to my last arcade memory, David, in his video, he mentioned the Hay Brothers. His family owned the Hay Brothers. I do remember the Hay Brothers pop wagon coming round, pop in glass bottles. You can't beat pop out of glass bottles, I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, all the usual flavour: lemonade, cherryade, orangeade, and then you'd keep the bottles and then you'd hand them back like a week later or whatever, and you get money back for them. I kind of forget how it worked, because obviously my mum and dad sorted that out. But yeah, the pop man, and it makes me think as well. Does anybody remember back in the days of coal fires? You used to get your coal. Every garden had a coal house, which stored your coal. But when you had your coal delivered, you just dumped it outside your garden on the roadside, and it were up to you to get wheelbarrow, shovel it in, and shovel it into the outhouse, the coal house. I used to hate that, because it was more often than not my dad would say, "Sean, go get coal in." Oh no. Yeah, I had to shovel it off the curb into a wheelbarrow and make many trips to and from bloody coal house. So yeah, moving on to my last early gaming memory. I did mention this to somebody not so long back, I think we were on about it at Danester's event. There was an arcade in Wakefield. It was across from the bus station, more or less. I think it was a shop of some kind. It might have been a newsagent's, and the arcade were in the back. Really dark, very small, cramped, but it was full of just stand-up cabs, and obviously there were the likes of Xevious, probably Double Dragons and games like that. But one game that used to stand out for me, and I'd always make a beeline for it, was Rygar. I absolutely love that game, Rygar. Love the soundtrack, love the sound effects of it. But yeah, it was hard as nails. It was relentless. Enemy upon enemy. How anybody would ever complete that game is beyond me. But the only thing was with this little arcade in Wakefield was this little known gang, a renowned gang, and they called themselves the Wakefield Dressers, Wakey Dressers. And back then, I mean, I were only young and maybe 11, I can't remember, but you know, hearing about this put the fear of God into me. And yeah, they used to come into this arcade and they used to, shall we say, ask kindly for a couple of 10 pences. And you know, yeah, I give them some of my money. I didn't have much, I only had pocket money, but yeah, I wasn't going to get my head stoved in for the sake of these gang. So they used to be only me and my mate, you know, and there'd be a gang of these. They were older as well, so we won't stood a chance. But yeah, it's just, it used to terrify me going in there, because, you know, each week when we went in, we knew we were going to get fleeced of some of us money, but it was worth it in the end, I suppose. We never got into any phase, because we handed over as money. But it was nice to get in there and play Rygar, because that was the only arcade really that had it. And there was another arcade later on, further round, towards the side of Argos. I'm talking to you like you all know what I'm on about, but above that used to live 17-bit software, which was the home of Amiga public domain games and stuff like demos and utilities. They used to be based up there. But that arcade were that were a bit more luxurious, you know, it was brighter. It was a bit more safer. This, like I said, this was a back room. It was dark as hell. It was pitch black, in fact, other than the light from the screens. Yeah, so shady as hell. But you know, Rygar. I needed to play Rygar, so yeah. So anyway, that is my earliest gaming memories. I just thought I'd you know, compile 3 little snippets of memories there for the VR, the response to David's original video. Check it out. I'll put a link in the description below to David's video, and like he says, feel free to do yours, record yours and post it. Anyway, for now, take care everybody and see you later.